So let's look at chapter 9 of 2 Samuel. We will look at verses 1 through 4. As a family, New King James Version states, "Now David said, 'Is there still anyone who is left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?' And there was a servant of the house of Saul whose name was Ziba. So when they had called him to David, the king said to him, 'Are you Ziba?' He says, 'At your service.' Then the king says, 'Is there not still someone of the house of Saul to whom I may show the kindness of God?' And Ziba said to the king, 'There is still a son of Jonathan who is lame in his feet.' So the king said to him, 'Where is he?' And Ziba said to the king, 'Indeed, he is in the house of Machir, the son of Ammiel, in Lodabar.'" Amen. You may be seated. So come out of your comfort zone. Come out of your comfort zone. And we're still under the umbrella of what Minister Greg started us with, which was moving forward. Moving forward. And the push is that as we're moving forward, that the admonishment is for us to come out of our comfort zone, to move beyond living through our feelings, but learning how to embrace in faith. And that's not easy to do that, because every decision that we have made in life, every major decision, has always been factored against how it makes me feel. And it's not a good paradigm for decision making, because oftentimes what I feel changes. And so if I am making lifelong decisions based upon short-term information, which is feelings, then I've set myself up for catastrophic consequences and results. And so consequently, I need to learn how to make quality decisions, not based upon feelings, short term, but I need to be making decisions based upon faith and intellect and the wisdom of God. Because again, what I feel today, I may not be feeling tomorrow. For case in point, how many of you now are currently employed and a little unsatisfied with your job? Let me see your hand. Okay. Is it safe to say that the individuals who raise their hands that are a little unsatisfied with their current work situation, at some stage or another, in the beginning, you were excited. It felt good at the interview. Some of us prayed to sit in the seat that I'm in. So though you feel unsatisfied now, for some of us, not all, some of us made a conscious decision to pursue that, not based upon the wisdom of God, not based upon the direction of God, the will of God, or using faith, but I pursued it based upon what felt right to me in the moment that it was presented to me. And so I sat there with the call saying, "We would like to schedule an interview. Can you come in?" And then we begin to pray for God's favor, not based upon his will, but I'm making decisions based upon what feels right. And so as we go back to last week, dealing with the scenario of Mephibosheth, the Mephibosheth life is altered, not based upon following the direction of God, but his life is altered based upon someone else's feelings. And the feelings of that individual is now driving their decision-making process, and their decision-making process has now been projected onto Mephibosheth. So as a recap, just to bring us back to where we need to be, what happens, the king Saul is in a battle. Jonathan, his son, the prince, is there. They lose their lives in the battle. In the midst of this heated battle, the word gets back and spreads throughout Jerusalem like a wildfire. And when the news gets back to the nanny or the nurse who is caring for the grandson of the king, the news gets back, King Saul has died in battle. Not knowing all the details. All she knows is he's died in the battle. Not only did King Saul die, the next person in line to assume the throne is his son Jonathan, the prince. Well, how's Jonathan? Jonathan is dead too. So automatically, the assumption is, now if the King Saul, has died in battle, Jonathan dies in battle, certainly the next king, they're going to come after the next one in line, which is the 5-year-old grandson, Mephibosheth. And so, because I'm afraid, you ought to be afraid for your life too. She grabs him and grabs all the things in a panic and dashes. But she's making these decisions off of misinformation.
Come on, Pastor. Yes, sir.
She's assuming that because she heard that King Saul had died in battle and his father died in battle, the same fate is going to happen to you. But what no one took the time to tell her in the most haste moment is that King Saul committed suicide. It was during a battle, but he fell on his own sword. And he'd rather kill himself than allow the enemy to have the joy in taking his life. Small detail, important, but she don't know that. All she knows is he's died in battle, which drives her fear, which drives her to consider the son, the next one in line, Jonathan. Jonathan has died too. Therefore, when I look at the flow of things, king is gone, the prince is gone, there so also shall be the grandson. So she packs up everything and goes, and she runs. And we talked about this last week, that running is risky. Running is risky. She grabs him and grabs what she can, and she runs with the best intent. Her intent is to protect. Her intent is to look out for this 5-year-old, to make sure that he is okay and that he can live his life. But she's making these decisions based upon her own fears. And many of us have been guilty of making decisions on behalf of other people that we love, not based upon facts, but based upon how I feel and my fear in that moment. I don't want you to go there. Why? It may not be safe. Who says that? Nobody said it wasn't safe. You just feel it's not safe. And because you feel it's not safe, they ought not go. So we make decisions all the time, not based upon facts, but it is driven through our fears. Therefore, she picks him up and she begins to run with this 5-year-old child and some other personal belongings that she can only carry in the other hand. And she stumbles and falls, and as a consequence, she drops Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth drops, and the impact is tragic. The impact causes him to damage bones in his legs, and he's broken. But she doesn't have time to make sure that he's okay. She still picks him up. She tells him, come on, let's go. I can't, it hurts. It's going to be all right. Let's just keep moving. Where are we going? I don't know. Let's just keep moving. And so he has experienced trauma in his life because of the decision that somebody else made. And I would even venture to say that most of us have experienced trauma, not based upon the decisions that we have made, but the careless decisions that others have made that is connected to our life. I've been hurt because of the decision you made. I've been traumatized, not because of my own fault, but because of the decisions that you made. And the decision you made caused me to drop in life. The impact was tragic. And so now, consequently, I have to live damaged because of a decision. I experience now dysfunction because of a decision, of which it's not even mine. It was somebody else's. Most of our heartbreak has always been not because I made a careless choice. Somebody made it connected to my life. The depths of my tears have emerged from a thought pattern of somebody else. And so now, consequently, we have to live with it. And what feels right to her is for not you to stay here, but the best thing to do when you're in pain and you're hurt is not lay there, but let's retreat. It hurts. He's underdeveloped. He's 5 years old. He's underdeveloped. There's still more learning that needs to take place. There's still much he needs to acquire. But it doesn't matter. We don't have time to recover here. The best thing to do when you're in pain is to retreat. When you're in pain, disconnect from this environment. Stay away from people that you are familiar with. Stay away from places that are familiar to you and retreat. Fall back when you're in pain. See, times haven't changed. Because every time somebody drops you, you do the same thing like Mephibosheth and the nanny/nurse. The first thing that you want to do when you feel pain is retreat. Disconnect from the people who loved you, from the people who knew you, the people who cared about you. The first thing you want to do is back away from the things that what matter the most. You ain't backing away from your enemies. You're backing away from the people who did not hurt you, from places that didn't cause the pain. You're running and retreating to a dark place that nobody wants to go, where nobody wants to live, and it's called Lodabar. Lodabar, as we shared last week, is a place which means no pasture, no pasture, no place to graze. There is nothing there growing. It's desert-like. There's no life in Lodabar. And in our most painful moments, oddly enough, uncanny as it is the most comfortable because it's dark. Ain't no life there. I like it because there ain't no excitement there. I don't have to be around people who are always smiling all the time. Because even in my pain, I don't feel like looking at somebody who's smiling, what they so happy about. I don't feel like that. I don't feel like being around somebody that got all of this Jesus joy. It's best that I be by my Lodabar. 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 Interesting enough, when you see people go through tragic moments in their life, painful moments of their life, let's watch this paradigm. Would you agree that there's no entity that exists that loves me more than God? Would you agree with that statement? Why in our most painful moments, he's the last person we talk to? If I found strength in the gathering of believers, why is it when I experience personal pain, this is the last place I want to show up? Even though I may not have gotten hurt here, but this is the last place I want to heal. Because I can be in pain, I'll still go to work.
Come on, Pastor. Yes, sir.
I'll still be in pain and I'll talk to other people, but I won't talk to him and I won't show up here. Because I'd rather retreat and stay in Lodabar. It's rough in Lodabar. Lodabar is on the east side of the Jordan. Literally east of the river. And if you're watching TV, you got to be a part of the DMV to understand that correlation of what it means to be east of the river. But Lodabar is east of the Jordan River. And it is a place where some in Lodabar really struggle because nothing is growing in Lodabar. We mentioned 4 components about Lodabar, which was really interesting. We had mentioned that nothing is promising in Lodabar. Do you remember that? Nothing is promising in Lodabar, meaning there's no guarantees there. There's nothing promising there. You just existing. Amen. Amen. Also in Lodabar, we found out that there is nothing productive. There's nothing productive in Lodabar, meaning nothing grows in Lodabar. There's nothing promising. There's no guarantees. Oh, I got nothing to look forward to here in Lodabar. I just exist. There's nothing productive. I don't even get fruit here. I don't get greens and vegetation here. I have to go to a different place to have my needs met in a place that I need to reside. And so there is no guarantees. There is no growth in Lodabar. And the longer a person stays in Lodabar, the chances for recovery becomes dismal and slim for every day that I'm in that dark place. After a while, as you stay in Lodabar, you will discover not only is there nothing promising, that there is nothing productive, but there is no potential there. There is no goals. When you have no goals, you ain't shooting for nothing, and any target will do. How sad is it to have good aim, but don't know when to pull the trigger? Lodabar. So not only is Lodabar, there's nothing promising there, nothing guaranteed. There is nothing productive, nothing grows. There's no potential there, no goals. But there's nothing positive in Lodabar, meaning there ain't nothing good there either. Everybody is cynical in Lodabar. Everybody believes in Lodabar. Well, this is how it's supposed to be. This is how life is. You know, it is what it is. It's the kind of attitude that sarcasm is the goal of the day. That even if there is a glimmer of hope of something great happening, the cynicism and the skepticism and sarcasm will kick in and cause you to think, well, this ain't going to last but for so long. Something's getting ready to happen around the corner. Just a matter of time. Lodabar, dark place, right? Here's something interesting. He's there from the age of 5 until adulthood. And for over 20 years, he's in an environment where nothing grows, no guarantees, no goals, and in nothing good. What do you think that does to the psyche of Mephibosheth? What has it done to you when someone has hurt you and you retreated and saying, I don't want to give relationship another shot. I don't trust people no more. Now, one person dropped you. Now, the whole human race is now held accountable for the infraction of the one. So now everybody is untrustworthy. The nurse dropped you. Not everybody, but humanity now is under question and scrutiny because the one person hurt you. And we do this, and it makes sense. Not in where you were coming from in the palace, but it makes sense in Lodabar, because that's how we think there. Everybody's a threat to us in Lodabar. We don't like growth. We don't like positivity. We don't like optimism. We like to stay in this space. We don't want nobody to call us and say, you want to hang out? No. You got something to do? No. You want to go somewhere? No. What you going to do? Nothing. Because that's what we do in Lodabar. And you know what it's like because you've been there. We've all been hurt where we have taken a trip to Lodabar. It's a bad place to be. Because although you have the freedom to leave, you don't. You don't leave Lodabar until someone comes and get you. And it was strategic from the nurse to take Mephibosheth to Lodabar Because a Lodabar is a place you don't look for nobody. See, when you go to your dark place to retreat because someone has hurt you, and you put up your wall and say, I ain't letting nobody else in. No one else is going to hurt me. No one else is going to even get a chance to make a promise that they're going to break. What happens in that moment, when a person comes polar opposite of where you are emotionally, you don't want them in Lodabar. Because when they come smiling and with joy, you don't want that. Stay over there with that. I don't want to change. I don't want to feel better. I like staying like this. Because the minute I trust you again and all them other people who are outside of Lodabar, it's going to happen all over again. And I ain't letting myself get dropped again. First time I couldn't control it, but this time I will. You won't drop me a second time. So now everything now has to be evaluated from the premise, I ain't getting dropped again. So, do what you're going to do, and I'm not coming out of Lodabar. Look how many times you've tried to help a person in a dark place. They don't call you back. Did you see my text? They saw your text. They're just not responding because they don't want to come out of Lodabar. Now, just write just a few things. What's keeping them there in Lodabar? Fear. Fear. What has kept you in Lodabar? Fear. Fear is so powerful that it literally paralyzes your ability to move forward. See, people may think that Mephibosheth didn't move forward because he had learned how to function being disabled. He was crippled. Because he was in Lodabar, he was never able to get the attention that he needed to have his bones reset when they were broken. And consequently, because his bones were not reset when they were fractured, he just learned how to function in dysfunction. And so whereas this knee should have been straight, he learned how to just let it grow into adulthood disformed. Now, he can't move like everybody else, but he can crawl there. I can't get there at your pace, but I'll get there. I'll crawl if I got to. It'll take me longer. I'll find a way to make it work. And he has developed a support system. Either someone will lift him or carry him, or he'll use something as a crutch. You've been to Lodabar? How is it you know what I'm getting ready to say before I say it? Is there Mephibosheth here? The king raises the question when he's asking Ziba about Mephibosheth, the lingering question that we kept asking last week, and I'm going to re-emphasize to you now. The king kept asking, where is he? The question is, where are you? Beyond your pain, beyond being able to function in your dysfunction, you were broken, but no one set you straight. You were fractured, but no one put in place the areas that were fractured. And if you retreat, absent of recovery, you're having a hard time relapsing from all of this. So here's something to consider. The major problem which keeps me in Lodabar, the number one reason is fear. 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 Fear keeps me in Lodabar. Fear is keeping me in Lodabar. I have learned how to have a mediocre life living in Lodabar. Everyone else around me can flourish and prosper, but I'm okay learning how to function right here in Lodabar. I don't have some of the potential and the moments that I could have had being back at a place where I once was. But I've just adjusted being here in Lodabar, in a place where there's no pasture. And I pray every single day that I never have to deal with the thing that I have ran from. Every day, I'm hoping that I never have to relive or to face the thing that I ran from. Would you be surprised if you haven't taken the time in the course of the week to read the text in its entirety? Would you know that Mephibosheth has a son? He has a son. He has a son, and his name is Micah. And interesting enough, though he has an inability to walk,
Come on, Pastor.
he can still get around. Everything ain't broken, Pops. Everything ain't broken. He still functions. But remember, he is a product of the projection of someone else's fears. So when Micah becomes of age and raises the question, you were born here, Dad, in Lodabar? No. Where you from? I was born in Jerusalem. Well, why we live here? What made you come here to Lodabar? Because I'm running from something. What do you think this does to the psyche of Micah to hear that his dad is running from something? Because the position of the dad is now being transferred to the son. Just as the projection of the fear from the nurse was projected to Mephibosheth, fear moved from Mephibosheth down to Micah. Yeah, I used to be able to walk. Son, I used to be able to run. I used to be the fastest one in pre-K. I'm trying to tell you, back in my day, I was something special, and until things just got a little different. I know what you feel when you're in Sky. Now, I used to feel love too. I used to be excited about love too, until somebody broke my heart. I used to want to go somewhere too and be somebody, but that's for the birds. We project. And so he's still in Lodabar, not because there are walls in the city that keep him in, but fear kept him cuffed to a place he didn't belong. And because you don't want to get dropped, you make decisions moving forward to protect yourself. So now you hurt people so that you won't have to get hurt. Irony is, you have a disdain for pain, but you become a professional inflicting it. You can think about that for a minute. How is it that the most hurt people always hurt people? Is it that the nastiest, smart-mouthed, cuss you out in your face, most assertive and aggressive person is the most hurt person in the room? The loudest is the one who's crying the most inwardly. So what is ironic to me is that when there is internal conflict in our spiritual family, people are like, Pastor, you need to talk to so-and-so because I don't like the way that she talked to me. I don't like how she said it. She just went off. What is hard to get them to see is you just dealt with somebody who's in pain. Now, ain't got nothing to do with that pain. They're nasty. They got a bad attitude. Somebody need to check her. If she think I'm going to have to deal with what you're missing, because really, you can say it in a soft voice. You wrong. And you can really make them cry. So some things I try not to even get because I'm like, you just don't get it. You're looking at the surface. You're on the surface. What's in the soil? What's in the soil? So fear is keeping him cuffed to a place he don't belong. And fear is keeping you in a place that you're not supposed to be. But you've learned how to make do in a place you don't belong, in a place that you don't like, and you've made the best of a situation. Because you'll stay at a job that you can't stand. You'll hang around people that you really don't like. You'll listen to gossip that you really don't want to entertain. You'll eat food that you don't really like to eat. You'll go places that you really didn't sign up to go. And you'll be in a place in life that is not destined for you to be, but is safe there. You can predict it there. Everything adds up there. You don't have to use faith and load a bar. You operate off of fear. And as long as fear keeps giving you all of these statistics and all of this data, you'll make your decisions based upon information that hasn't even happened yet. That's fear. Fear has its sustainability by giving you information that hasn't happened yet, and you buy into it even though it ain't real. That's fear. And we make our decisions to stay in Lodabar based upon information that don't even exist. Right? So DJ and Janet, if you can go to this hallway and get something for me. Yeah, you'll see it when you get there. So fear is keeping him in Lodabar. But the king has enough kindness in his heart to say, I need to identify where he is. He didn't have enough heart to come out from hiding. Let me identify where he is and let me send somebody to go and get him. He doesn't have enough heart to come to me. Let me find somebody to go and get them and to pull him out of a place he doesn't belong. I need him here. I need him here. Where is he? You're at a place you're not supposed to function. You're existing in a place you're not supposed to live. We need you out. The king cares enough about you. You've been in that place for Mephibosheth 20-something years. For some of you, 14. For some of you, 30. Some of you still dealing with the pain from your childhood. And every decision you make has been filtered based upon what happened to you when you were 6, when you were 13, when you were 18, when you were 21, when you were 39, when you were 42. All of these decisions are based upon that past experience. You got a new day, new situation, new scenario, new people in your life, but you're still making decisions based upon old information. So you're living in a place you're not supposed to be. But the king cares enough about you to summons your presence for you to come out from where you found comfort where you're not supposed to be. You are literally being conquered in a comfort zone and don't even realize it. You're residing in a place that has not been designed for you. It's not even a livable condition in your heart, but that's where you want to stay. You like it dark. You like it bitter. You like it hard. You like it stony. You like being that way. That's all you know for 20-something years. And the king cares enough about you to say it's time for you to come out. I'm ready to show you some kindness because you didn't get it in Lodabar, but what you will do is find it right here in the kingdom. It's time to come out of Lodabar. And one day, as he traditionally did, wake up every day addressing fear, loving fear, embracing fear. He finds himself waking up again. Good morning, fear. What should I be afraid of today? Fear that the king will never find you, that he'll never look for you, and that you can live another day being here in obscurity. Find another day being here in a place that nobody knows your name, that nobody cares about you. No one's calling you no more. Eventually, if you stop answering the texts, they will stop. Eventually, if you don't return a voicemail, they'll stop looking for you. Eventually, if you don't answer the door, they'll stop coming by. That's where you need to stay. And eventually, all of that is shattered when men walk up to his door and say, is Mephibosheth here? The king wants his presence. And no matter how long you have been in your comfort zone, no matter how long you've been saying, I want to get out, but you ain't packed your bags, no matter how long you've been saying, I want something different, but you ain't sent out no resumes, no matter how long you've been saying you won't change, eventually the king will come to where you are and say, it's time to come out of your comfort zone. Now you have to do something that you have been regretting. Here go, point number 2. Now we move from fear. Now you have to go to this moment that you've been trying to avoid all of this time, which is confrontation. This is the part we wanted to avoid. My life has led up to this moment that I've been trying to avoid. Now I got to deal with something I didn't want to deal with. I thought it would go away. They say all things heal in time, but it didn't. I didn't recover. I got the legs to prove it. Things didn't come together over time. I figured if we didn't deal with it, things would just go back to normal, but it didn't. I felt if I just gave it some time, it'll go back to normal, but it didn't. When my heart was broken, I thought if I just gave it time, it would be better. I will love again, but I didn't. I still was cynical. I still was negative. I still was a pessimist, but I gave it time, and I still didn't heal. That's because you got to deal with the same thing that you're running from. Running is risky, but the king loves you enough. When you don't have the heart to come to him, he'll come to you. When I was broken, and I have learned how to function in dysfunction. Dysfunctional in my ways, dysfunctional in my thinking. And I've learned how to function dysfunctionally. And all of a sudden, my life comes to a crossroads where the king says, I need you here. And this is scary because every person in this room will get to a place unexpectedly where the king will summons your presence. And the very thing that you didn't want to deal with in your heart, you're going to have to face it. Amen. Thinking that time heals, it doesn't. Confrontation does. You ain't heard that before, have you? Because whatever you choose not to deal with, it will deal with you. And it had been dealing with him. He can't even have any semblance of relaxation. Because every time he sees somebody coming into the town of Lodabar, he's wondering, are they coming for me? Wow. Here's a trace that you know, that you like Mephibosheth, or like Mephibosheth, or a cousin of Mephibosheth. It's because when you've been hurt in a relationship, you're cynical when someone comes up and, why are you being all nice to me? What's the catch? Something's up with that. It's too good to be what? Mephibosheths. Why don't y'all get up here and preach it? Because apparently y'all know what it's like in Lodabar, don't you? You been there? Been there. Yeah. So now he has to deal with the confrontation. He's standing there. They say, the king has summoned you. This is a paralyzing fear, not physically for his legs, but for his heart. Because I didn't want to have to deal with this. I ran from this. And now I'm at a place where I can't run no more. Either I deal with this or die. Because the consequences of saying no to a king, the armed soldiers have a right to kill you. You don't tell a king no. So I deal with this or die. You don't have the luxury to say, I don't want to deal with this no more. I ain't going to deal with it. You've been putting it off. You've snoozed through every relationship. You've snoozed through every opportunity. You snooze at every opportunity of potential, and now it don't snooze no more. Time's up. You got to deal with it. He don't want to go. And he don't want to go because he's scared. What is he afraid of? What's that? He's afraid of the unknown. He's not afraid of the unknown. That's interesting, though. We think that we are afraid of the unknown. Let me tell you what he's afraid of, or what he thinks is going to happen. In his fear has told him he's going to kill you. Fear is telling him you're going to die just like your grandfather and like your father. And just like how you was parentless. Where is Mephibosheth's mother? Why was a nurse taking? That's a whole nother subject. But just like you were parentless, then Micah may be parentless. I don't want to go. The king is ready. See, while he is determining what his decision is going to be through the filter of fear, the king is on the other side preparing a table of favor.
My God. Yeah, my God. Go ahead.
He says, I'm looking for Mephibosheth so that I can bless him. On the other, in Lodabar, he's thinking, I'm going to die. If I confront this, this is the end of me. Back in Jerusalem, how long is it going to take for him to get? I can't wait to bless him. I can't wait to show him kind. I can't wait to shower him with love. I haven't seen him for over 20-something years. Last time I seen him, he was a toddler like this with Jonathan. I cannot wait to see him. Is he going to be tall? Is he going to be short? Is his hair brown? Is it long? Is it black? Did he cut his hair? How is he going to talk? Does he got a beard? Does he got a mustache? I can't wait to see. The whole time, back in Lodabar, he's going to kill me. He's going to take my son Micah from him. Micah will never be able to see me play with him. I'll never be able to see my own grandkids. Micah, I'll never be able to go to your wedding, son. I'll never be able to see you graduate from Lodabar High if we leave this place. And he's scared. Back in Jerusalem, please, I wish they hurry up. They're taking a long time. I can't wait to put my arms around him and tell him I love him. I can't wait to tell him I've been waiting for his presence. I'm ready to shower him with love and affection. Back in Lodabar, he has to make a decision to embrace the confrontation. On one side is fear, and on the other side is favor. See, this is what you need to write. On the other side of my fears always awaits me favor. But you never get past that wall because you never want to confront it. And as the king looked out at his window, watching them pull up in chariots and horses, he's here, he's here, he's here, he's here. Everybody get in place. He's here, he's here. Meet me in the dining room. Quick, go, go. He's coming, he's coming. And when the door opens, Mephibosheth comes dragging, holding on to something that used to hold him up.
My God.
He walks in deformed.
Jesus.
He walks in at a table that is set for many people. All of the relatives of David, all the high officials are at the king's table. All of the important people are at the table. Who's who is at the table? And there is a spot that is empty. And when he walks in with his disfigured, dysfunctional, disformed self, everybody who sits here of favor is looking at the distraction that walked in the room. Have you ever walked in the presence of people and felt like you were a distraction? Because of your past, because of what you've been entangled in, because of what you wrestle with, you kind of feel like people know, I don't belong here. I'm not like everybody else. Everybody at that table got it together. Everybody else got the nice clothes on. Everybody got the nice linen, the nice fabric, nice shoes, nice sandals, nice heels. Their hair is done. They're wearing either tiaras or these little small crowns, or they're wearing the badges to let everybody know that they are an official of the kingdom. And I walk in here with these raggedy clothes, these torn up sandals, because I couldn't have good sandals. I had the orthopedic ones, the ones that are ugly, the ones that people would laugh at, the ones that people would talk about. In fact, I got to come strolling in here. In fact, I can't even walk in here dignified like everybody else. I can't even hold my head up straight. I got to walk in here just to be able to keep from falling in front of somebody that is great, somebody is a dignitary in the front of the king. The king has called me out from my comfort zone. And I'm around all these important people, and everybody got their eyes on me, and I don't fit in like everybody else. I come in with my dirty self. Everybody else got their stuff together. Everybody else had a good head start. Everybody else went to a better school than me, had a better support system, had both of their parents in the house. But me, I come from a broken home where a nurse took care of me. My daddy died. His daddy died. His daddy died. And all I got is my son. I don't even got my woman with me. All I know is I got this crutch and my son I had to hide back in Lodabar. And I'm coming in here as a distraction, and I don't fit in. And the king comes to me. He said, I've been waiting on you. And it's in that moment, Mephibosheth just drops. Can't take it no more. And he says, I'm no better than a dead dog. I don't deserve to be here. I'm looking at all this around here, that beautiful table. I've never even sat at a table before. I'm a dead dog. I don't even deserve to be here. And the king looks at him and says, get up. Get up. Because ultimately, when you're coming out of your comfort zone, you always resort back to what you used to. And for Mephibosheth, it's laying down.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I do what is instinctive for me, and that is just to fall apart. So he tells him, here, come over here. This space at this table is for you. 2 Samuel 9:13. Look at 13 real quick. 13, and we're going to go. 2 Samuel chapter 9, verse 13. Verse 13. And so Mephibosheth dwelt. Another version says he lived in Jerusalem. He didn't live in Lodabar no more. He lived in Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the city of peace. So for the first time in his life now, he's now living in a place of peace. He used to live in a place where there was no pasture, where nothing grows, but now He's living in a place of peace. For he ate continually at the king's table, and he was lame in both feet. Now, I thought this was rather interesting that the writer would re-emphasize again that he was lame in his feet. We already knew that. Why did he make it a point to say he came out of his comfort zone and now he is eating at the king's table? Let me give you a few points and we're going to close, right? The moment that I can stop eating from the plate of fear is the moment I can have a seat at the table of favor. Did you get that? Yeah, I ain't writing. The moment you can stop eating from the plate of fear is the moment you can have a seat at the table of favor. As he is sitting here at this table of favor, he's sitting at a place that he don't deserve to be. He's sitting at a table that he hadn't earned. He's sitting at a place that he ran from. And whenever we sit at the table, at a place that we don't deserve, and ready to eat something that we didn't prepare or didn't cook, or someone took the time to labor to give me provision that I did not already have, before I can enjoy what's at the table, I gotta first learn how to acknowledge and to say grace.
Amen. Amen.
You ever been around family and before someone sits down and starts to eat, somebody will yell out, somebody say grace. The moment you're willing to confront your fear is the moment you should be ready to say grace. I did a play on words. You may not get this until you look back at the video. There's a reason why no one yells out, someone do the blessing of the food. We say, somebody say grace. Because Big Mama's mama back then knew that if we sat at the table, we sat at a table that we didn't deserve to be. And it was a place and a position that I didn't earn, nor that I worked for. And Big Mama said, I can't say all them big old flowery words in a prayer, but what I can say is grace. Here's the last point, and we'll pause to go live out our faith, right? The most dynamic moments about this whole scenario, right, is hidden in verse 13. And the writer drew my attention back to it so that I won't forget it. Take a look at verse 13. The latter part that the writer brought up again that didn't make sense to me when I first looked at it. I had to keep looking at it. He brought it up a point again, Brother David, to say this, Steve. He dwelt there, and he was continuously eating at the king's table. I am, Mephibosheth, is continuously eating at the king's table. I am continuously operating in grace. I am sitting at a table with the king. I don't deserve to be seated nowhere near the king. I don't deserve to be invited where the king is, but the king came for me. I didn't come for him, he came for me. And not only did the king come for me, but he made a place for me to ensure that I have everything that I need at the table. So interesting enough that even when I'm at the king's table, you missed it. Take a look at this table. Tell me what you see. What do you see? Provision everywhere. Provision everywhere. Wine everywhere. Food everywhere. Royalty, everything. Look at this. Look at all the stuff that you see. What you're not focusing on is what you don't see. And that is my distraction. You don't see my dysfunction. Because it is under favor. When I came in, I was a distraction. But when I sit with the king, all you see is favor. Because everybody at the table want to know why I'm sitting at a place I don't deserve. And the minute you're willing to confront the same thing that you've been running from, people will look up and try to figure out how you got to where you are now. When you are at a place you don't deserve to be. Because you should have died in Lodabar. You should have starved to death in Lodabar. But somehow or another, the king elevated you. You got elevation through confrontation. Because if I didn't do nothing well in Lodabar, one of the things that I did get right, I knew how to survive. I made a lot of dumb decisions in Lodabar. I hurt people in Lodabar, but one thing I did right in Lodabar is I knew how to survive. But when I came to Jerusalem, the king was not satisfied with me just surviving. He wanted me to thrive. And when I sit here, I don't care what they thought when they saw me came in. But when I'm sitting here, they don't see my dysfunction because it's covered under grace. Amen. And that's just like what the king did for me. He called me out of a place that I didn't need to be. And he's calling you in a place that you don't need to be. And he doesn't care about your dysfunction. He doesn't care about your distraction, even though everybody else is staring at it, even though everybody else is pointing at it. As long as you sit with him, his grace will cover everything that was a distraction. That's grace. You see, Pop was like, that's it. That's good. That's good. Right? Grace covers. David sat at the very end of the table just staring at Mephibosheth, trying to figure out what he could do next to bless him. Just like the king. And as everybody sat on the other side of the table and alongside of him, staring at him, thinking about how he doesn't deserve to be sitting there, how dirty he is and how he stinks, David sat back and he started thinking to himself, and in his own private time, he started to write, "Thou wilt prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies." All heads bowed.